It's often helpful in English lessons and tutoring sessions to illustrate either what we're saying or what we're reading. And English covers such a lot of different subjects. We read stories and poems about all sorts of things. And of course, there's lots of non-fiction that we might be reading or analysing at any time. And to make things seem a bit more real, um, I often like to find an object to illustrate what we're talking about, to try and clarify things, or just to help us feel that we're talking about something real. So I thought I would show you some of the things that I keep in my office or very nearby in case I need them. I don't have any daffodils left in my garden. If I did, I'd bring one in because that's something that I needed recently when I was talking to an overseas student who'd never seen a daffodil. And of course, we do have literature covering daffodils. So what do we have here? This is quite a frequently used one. I love my globe. I'm very fond of maps. So I like to have this nearby just in case I need it. Something else, a paperweight. I love this one. I'm not sure exactly what the flowers are inside, but it's very pretty and they're stuck in there. I can think of certainly a piece of prose that's in a past GCSE paper, and at least two poems that have paperweights in them. Occasionally a student won't quite know what we mean by a paperweight, or sometimes it's just nice to look at the paperweight to see what it's like when we're talking about it. Something else, grater. I do keep this in the kitchen, but I've brought it here just for this. I know that I've brought this grater into my office a couple of times in the past when I've needed to say, this is grating, or this is what a grater is. When I'm talking about a sword fight or Macbeth's dagger speech, I very often get my letter opener. This is not a dagger, it's not a weapon, but sometimes I like to say this is what brandishing is. And so much easier to describe or to illustrate, to act brandishing rather than to try and describe it. What else have we got here? Oh, yes. A Christmas Carol. So in A Christmas Carol, we have mention of an extinguisher, which Scrooge uses to extinguish the light on the ghost of Christmas past, I think. And that is a small extinguisher. I actually call it a candle snuffer. It's silver, but it needs a bit of a clean. What else? Occasionally I will talk about pick my phone up and say how we don't read these days because we have screens so readily available, and we've got phones and iPads and all sorts of other things that are much easier entertainment than picking a book up and opening it. So sometimes I will illustrate what I'm saying with that. Very important. Do you know what this is? This is an ostrich egg. I am not sure where I got it. I think my son might have got it from somewhere. You can see it's empty because there's the hole inside with all the stuff come out. I do keep it here because there's a past GCSE paper which uses an extract from A Sound of Thunder, and the T-Rex's eyes were apparently like ostrich eggs. So just so we can visualize an ostrich egg, I do like to get that out. I quite enjoy that one. And the last thing I thought about is when we're talking about comparison can be quite a difficult thing for students to get to grips with in GCSE questions in particular. And so it's helpful to talk about how we might compare other things in life, in conversations, etc. And so I might use a pen and a pencil. So a pen and a pencil are similar. They do similar things. They're a similar sort of shape, but we all know that they're also quite different. They're made differently, you maintain them differently, and the kind of writing that you end up with is a bit different. And another thing that I often do is I wave my highlighter about when I'm talking about alliteration. and why a writer might use alliteration on purpose. Sometimes there are other reasons which are interesting, but always I say it's, oh, let's put it up that way so we can see the writing. Always it's like a kind of linguistic highlighter. The writer alliterates some words and they become more noticeable. So it's like using a highlighter. So that's just a few of the things I do. Thought it might be an interesting little insight. And yeah, I think some of these things are quite cool, especially the ostrich egg. Let me know what you think. See you again soon.